welcome to another episode of Adventures in Movies looks at ... dot. This week, I'm joined by one of the hosts of Adventures in Movies,
Just one. It's just me, Blake. Sorry, everybody.
and my name's Nathaniel.
Right.
This week we are looking at Watch List. Let me get my notes here for this. Watch List is about a couple initially named Maria and Arturo. They live in I guess, the slums of the Philippines. You know, they're kind of vague about, but it's definitely in the Philippines, and it's definitely not a high income area. One night, Arturo is mysteriously killed. Maria is given a chance to basically get off the government's drug watch list, which she reluctantly accepts, which sets up the movie. Before I even ask a question, you had some very, very strong feelings about this movie as soon as it was over.
Did I did this? So I hate to pepper the whole rest of the review by saying this, but this is a movie. When it was over, I was upset with the movie. I was upset with it, and I think maybe that was a little bit harsh in a retrospect to hindsight 2020, but I still feel very much the same way. And yeah, it left me wanting a lot.
I um I think this movie is fascinating, and not
It is.
for it's for the reasons of like what is entertainment and good and bad and where do we draw the it's really high level stuff that idiots like us shouldn't be talking about, but
Totally.
we'll get into it anyway. And you know what's funny? When the movie was over, I think I texted you. I was like, "Wow, that was a downer." And spoiler alert: we won't get into exact detail about this because there are some pretty heavy spoilers in it, I guess. But we won't ruin anyone's viewing of it if you choose to watch this movie. But yeah,
Other than our own.
yeah, buyer beware in this
Sorry,
case.
sorry. Anyway, sorry.
um, yeah, I thought that was a downer, and then you said something to the effect of "I really hated that," or "I really just," and then I thought about it, and I was like, "Yeah." So let's kind of get into this here.
Yeah.
First of all, this movie is so weird. I guess we're gonna talk down about it, but we're gonna say a lot of good things about it too. I'm thinking, what did you think of the?
Yeah.
I thought the performances were for decent to great.
Oh, it's such a. This was such a polarizing movie to me in a multitude of ways. By far, the most was how awesome I thought the performances were
Right.
by like literally everybody. You like as you say, decent. Like, okay, some of the kids were decent kid actors,
Right,
that
exactly.
kind
They're
of
kid
stuff.
actors,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're good actors. The lead, Maria, un-
Amazing.
unbelievable,
Right.
incredible performance. And so yeah, this movie I was conflicted by it a lot. The performances themselves, incredible.
The emotion that she and
Yeah,
this kind of story, it's really easy to
gives me
over the
chills.
top
Yeah,
melodrama. It does give you chills. It's really great performance. And then this is one of those shades of gray movie. I'm guessing the main villain, the one who kind of recruits her into it, like he was a really good actor. Also, his performance was, I
really
mean,
good.
this movie spot on with the performances. It's amazing how good it
At,
was.
at no time was I like, this is unbelievable.
Right.
Even the cousin, the primo character that was like, like a kind of a shady drug dealer, like totally believable. And then there were times where he was supposed to be like high on drugs. Completely thought he was high on drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was really well done. Everyone did an excellent job in it. So you're talking about the realism. So this is
Yeah.
about it's about Duarte in the Philippines. Were you aware of this issue that they had with drugs and how they were handling it?
Man, only vaguely. And because I'm kind of like one of those internet weirdos, stays up late reading stuff on Reddit and stuff, and so you'll
Right.
stumble across some of this kind of things. No, did I realize it was this bad? If this is an actual portrayal of how bad it is in the Philippines, then it's extremely bad. It's extremely bad.
So it starts like a documentary. It has the
I
news
think
clips,
we were
archive.
all fooled. I think we were all
Yeah,
fooled by it.
it gives you all this archival footage and then it cuts into the movie proper. So immediately I look up the dude's name and yeah, it's a real character and he got to power on his war on drugs and then it became a real thing. Like it was extrajudicial killings that were going on
crazy.
It's I honestly I plead ignorance. I had no idea that that was going on. So
No, yeah, nothing to that extent. You know, I just you, I hate to say this, I guess, but it's like you have like a stigma, I guess, in my head about like how certain is the Philippines a third world country? To me, they aren't. But in this movie, it was portrayed as such, I guess. I
I don't think it is, but I guess because they were I didn't I know it was well they mentioned Madrid and they were obviously in like the poorest parts of it.
of
So
any place, yeah,
yeah, I don't know. And you even asked like I think you said something to the fact that this place looks like horrible. It looks like hell.
horrible,
Like
truly. Yep,
I don't know if it is a third world country, but wherever the setting is, it's as close to third world as you possibly can get without being third world.
dire living circumstances.
It's the kind of stuff that like I mean you can't even imagine it. So and it's not just the setting and the poverty of it. It's the way the people are treating each other. It's the just the whole thing. It's really so. I guess my next question kind of flows into: did it ever make you these types of movies that deal with realism and especially with drugs? They tend to give you a feeling of discomfort. Did you ever have that?
Yes, the entire time. I mean, did it do that to you?
You know what? It really didn't actually.
Really?
Like,
Okay.
yeah, the closest like the story, I was like, okay, this is crazy what they do, and like they have a recovery dance in the beginning. Like if you're a drug
Right.
addict, just
Right.
you get in this line dance and you'll be okay, type of thing. Like stuff like that. It was
That was
strange.
actually hilarious.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was like, wow, this movie is. It had a lot of hope, no pun intended, at that time. But
Man, that's a
I
good point
never.
though. This movie does a lot of kind of bait and switch with you at the beginning.
It does in the beginning. So, and then one of the bigger bait and switches, I thought that it looked like, and I think I joked with you, I was like, is this going to become an action movie?
Right.
Because it looked like it was going to be like an avenging mom type of movie for a while. It looked like it was
Yeah.
going in that direction. Never happens, but
No. No.
uh,
Well,
um,
no.
well, kind of sort of.
No, no, no. It doesn't.
But I never had so Requiem
But
for a
yeah,
Dream.
yeah, go
Like
ahead, sorry.
no, Requiem for a
Sorry.
Dream, very uncomfortable movie. Like rooted in real world problems. If the story is completely fiction,
Right. So I
and
wasn't uncomfortable like that. I wasn't uncomfortable like that. I was more like I went to go get ice out of my freezer, like it's for my drink, and was like I felt guilty because I was like, man, I have ice in my
oh,
freezer, and these
see,
people have like no running water.
that I can actually see because it's going back to the way the setting is depicted.
Yeah,
It is so horrible. It's sad. It really is, which
totally.
is another good thing about this movie. It really gets across the severity of the situation that they're in. Very good. So a lot of times we see movies, they're marketed as the story that had to be told, like the story no one wanted to, but now you're hearing it for the. Do you think that this story had to be told?
No, no, no. This is where we start to run into like my major issues with this movie.
Okay,
Is it's no, this story's been told 1,000 times
right.
in different ways. I think I texted you. I said this is blood in, blood out. You know, it's Philippines blood in, blood out.
It is.
And in a lot of ways, it's exactly that. And one of the things that while Blood in, Blood Out is Bound by Honor is a good movie.
Oh, you did
Um,
it. I was
sorry, I
no,
had to get it.
you need to because in the Northeast it's blood in, blood out, bound by honor. So when you just said blood
Exactly.
in, blood, I got kind of confused. I'm like,
Blood in,
huh?
Blood Out, Bound by Honor. Yes, yeah,
There you
Miklo,
go.
Miklo, bro. So yeah, it's that has like these glimpses of hope, and so like this is like a brutal tale. And I guess the word brutal is used too often these days, but it is brutal. And it's never there's no like light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
And if you're gonna tell me a story that I've seen multiple times, I want it to be different, or I want it to be maybe just these times have changed me and made me soft. I want like something to look forward to. And this movie doesn't do that.
I kind of see where you're coming from because yeah, this is a lot of times you see a movie and there's some crazy topic that you're like, it's marketed as the story that had to be told. Maybe I've heard it before, but I like the way that they did it. I like the point at the end, or I like the
Here's why this
whatever.
was unique, you know.
Yeah, like this one, like I hate to sound like a unsensitive person, but unless you're there, or you know someone who's there, like I just don't think this is a story that needs to be told. And I don't know. It's yeah, drugs are bad, and corrupt governments are worse. Yeah, for sure.
All things
But
are terrible.
but this story didn't bring anything new to the table. So ultimately, what do you think was the point of Watch List?
And I've thought about this actually. As soon as it was over, I like sat in the dark and like contemplated why this movie was made. And I think it is. I think it's to make you feel extremely sympathetic and empathetic with the people that are in that position in the Philippines. I think that's the end goal. And does it do that? Yeah, it does. But it doesn't, and we get back to what you said earlier, it doesn't do it. Things that stick with you are the things that were like, wow, that was entertaining, whether it was bleak or dark, or the documentary was, boy, that sure was dark, but man, I was entertained by it. This wasn't entertaining to me. And so that may sound really harsh and maybe real cold, but like it didn't make me feel any which way because it was a story I've seen 1,000 times and it was bleak and depressing. And it doesn't ever do anything else but that.
Um,
It's one gut punch after the other.
yes, it is, and they're tough punches too. You can't
Yeah.
roll with them. These are hard hitting punches. And some movies that do that, they're really, yeah, you said blunt's overused, frank in your face, however you want to describe it. It works sometimes. Like
Yeah.
one
It
after, but
does.
in this case, I don't know. It just so in the beginning, we kind of started it with differentiating between. So once the line between the story, the perform, in this case, not so much the story, but the performances and the setting being really good, where do you draw the line? Like, okay, that's all good, but it's not entertaining.
That's an interesting question because I was like kind of like fighting with this the entire time. I don't know, like when it's a steady step downward, I guess, when I don't get any relief from the slip into the pit, I about halfway down, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't need to get here. There's a movie called Back to Malaysia. It's Joaquin Phoenix, Anne Heche, and Vince Vaughn, and it is about a guy who, I mean, same part of the world, gets
Hmm.
arrested for possession of narcotics and drugs. I think it's just marijuana, and he gets sentenced to death. And
Oh, it's very
and
Midnight Express.
it's very Midnight Express. And well, but it's nothing but bleak.
Yeah.
And when it's over, you're left with these incredible performances by all three that I just mentioned. Literally, I really do think it's an incredible performance by everyone. But it ends with like this: they tear your heart out,
Right.
and so in essence, it meant nothing. It's in fact I steer people away from that movie. Don't ever watch. Don't ever watch it because, I mean, does the movie accomplish what it was setting out to do? Is to make you feel sad? Yeah, it does that. Is that entertainment to me? No, nope.
That's that's a really good point because I was thinking about it. Like, and going back to what we were talking about in the very beginning, how when it was over, I was just like, wow, that was, and I just thought, wow, what a depressing movie. But then when you kind of a throwaway line that you, and then I thought about it, I was like, there really, I don't know if there is no entertainment value out of it. I was kind of desensitized by the end, and people talk about
It
violence in
does.
media. So, yeah, and it wasn't that it was super violent, though it does have its moments. It just I got to a point where it was just one thing after another, and I guess at the end, like it wasn't so much that I wasn't entertained that I was just like, okay, that was depressing. And then when you brought it to my attention, I was like, well, so depressing that I don't think I was entertained. Like, so I don't know where you draw that line because I also
uh,
thought that the performances were great. I thought the setting was so well shot and so well done. But at the end, yeah, the entertainment value just isn't there, and not entertainment in the traditional like that's entertainment Hollywood thing. It's just like
Hello, my baby. Hello.
it's just I don't know. This is one of the hardest. I mean, just to review, think about, rate, and it's just so difficult.
It's
But
so funny because like as we sit here and talk about it, we've had nothing but good things to say about it, but we just don't feel good about it. It's so strange.
that kind of segs perfectly into the ending. So, opening night, rental, stream, or completely avoid this watch list. This very interesting movie, fascinating
Watch
movie.
crime drama thriller. Minute and 34 seconds. It's gonna be a pass for me. I can't recommend it. And it's not because it's not filled with incredible performances by literally everybody. Even the mediocre ones are pretty good. I can't recommend it. No, pass.
I think this is and I don't know what number episode this is of this little YouTube
I
experiment we're
don't
doing,
either.
but this is the episode where we finally realize that this is a movie could be good, but it doesn't mean you should watch it. Like,
Right.
and
Well said.
it's yeah, and what you said, like, yeah, if you want to see awesome acting, if you want to get what I think is an accurate, I mean, I'm not sure, but what looks to be an accurate picture, uh, maybe not of the Philippines, but of a country coming apart at the seams, then yeah,
And a
this is
family
that.
falling apart.
Yeah,
You
and a
know, just
family even more so because it's kind of a slice of life type of thing. So
absolutely.
this is that movie. But I agree with you. Like I would not recommend this to anybody at all. And not because it didn't do anything wrong technically. As a
No,
matter of fact, it did everything right. But
right. I would
no,
agree.
I would say pass on it. So
Sorry, watch list. We
sorry,
love
watch this for everything you did right. You just didn't impress Blake.
you. One and done.
So every week here at Adventures in Movies looks at dot 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 open review policy. We'll look at anything. If you have something in the comments, let us know. We will check it out. Drug war in the Philippines, documentaries. Recently, we did a survival thriller that you might end up seeing, Centigrade. Like we do it all. We really honestly don't care, even if we don't talk highly about it. We'll watch it.
The risk you
So
take.
that is the risk. If you have an open review policy, then you're kind of, leaving yourself open to stuff.
Sure.
But definitely let us know. Check us out every week. We'll be here. Thank you very much. Danny may or may not be back next week. So for Danny, I will say like and subscribe. We'll talk to
Please
you
do.
next week.
Adios, everyone.